Alright, so this is the video, and this is going to be a big deal. And this is not necessarily predicting something in the future, but claiming something has happened in the past to prove I'm not making up memories, okay? So, the day of the crash. Sorry. The day I had the specific visions of that crash. Parked on the side of the road, seeing myself crashing 3 times in a row with a passenger in the exact same way I crashed and everything. Is the day I decided it's time. I'm getting too crazy on a motorcycle. I'm pushing my limits, climbing heights too much. I need a girl to chill me out. Hopefully I can find some girl to be friends with around here, because I'm getting out of control. On my way to the mill after that. Lake Wallenwallpack. I believe I saw her. I believe I saw Marissa. Okay? Is there a chance I'm wrong? Yeah, there is. There is a chance. Albeit, I would say, extremely small. Chance it wasn't her. I have to explain. Well, first of all, something like visions of the crash, that specific, I can understand. I was questioning myself when I was remembering the vision. Am I making this memory up? I was questioning that myself, okay? Because it seemed that crazy. If I were making up memories, for sure, the memories I'm going to speak to you about that I remember having the same day would also be false. The thing is, if she can verify that we met that day, it would prove that everything that happened with the vision of the crash actually happened. Now, I'm going to go over specific details on what happened when I believe I saw her, how it happened, but there's other details I'm going to leave out, because she is going to have to complete the story to verify this actually happened. Because if we both believe in God, this and that, and we both have an agenda of pushing this, and she were to, for some reason, see this video, she could just lie and say, yes, that was me, lying to push the agenda of God. Which I don't believe that's the right way to do things. Lying is sin. So, but the problem is, there's plenty of Christians that do that, I'm sure. Okay. But to make sure lying isn't an option here, Marissa's going to have to fill in some of the blanks of what happened. Okay? So I'm going to have to be very careful to not complete certain parts of the story. Okay? So yeah, I do my thing, go swimming, looking for a girl to be friends with at around Raymond Skill Falls waterfall back in the woods there. It's a very popular spot, awesome spot, love that spot. I do my typical thing, look for a girl to be friends with there, have fun back there for a while. And on my way back, going through Lake Wallenwallpack, I feel like there's a voice in my head telling me, look that way. Like, why? Why should I just look that way? Why, brain? Why are you telling me to look? Well, okay. And I go past the visitor center parking lot, and I just very, very momentarily, very quickly observe. All that I can tell, someone with long hair, I think, because I see that, I kind of think they're probably female. Guys have long hair too sometimes. I can't see a face, anything. But me looking hard to the left makes me happen to see this person in the parking lot, sitting next to their car. And it grabs my attention. It just does. Something seems odd. And I'm like, whatever. Okay. I go 2 miles, and something's telling me to turn around. Something is really telling me to turn. I couldn't get this out of my... It was just a person next to their car. Why? So I come up with an excuse to figure out what's going on here. Turn around. And again, it's not like, oh, like someone attractive, like say hi. No, I couldn't tell if it was male, female necessarily. I had no idea. It was, but it's like, if I can't even tell, like why is this person stuck in my head? What's going on? So, just trying to figure out what's going on here, I turn around to satisfy my brain. Maybe if I figure out what's going on here, my brain will stop doing whatever it's doing. And to my surprise, I find someone, a girl that seems to be my age. And I figured out why they were sitting next to their car. Okay. And again, I'm trying to leave the right amount of details out for her to fill in, where someone couldn't just fill in the blanks with the luck here. And I'm driving away, and I sense, I think we have a lot in common. I don't understand why I'm thinking that. I think we have a lot in common. And I'm thinking, I was looking for a girl I have a lot in common with, and to the point where I'm about to make a dating profile because I'm giving up. I'm getting too crazy doing stuff. Just stuff, that's dangerous. But then it's like, no. I sense I'm going to like this person too much, and I sense they like me. Therefore, I think I should keep going, because that'll prevent me from moving to the West Coast, like my plan. So I think I should keep going. And then my brain keeps on telling me more and more things about them, it seems. Very specific things. Even starts using words that I don't typically use. I remember one of the words was like, brain, what was that? The voice said something along the lines, wouldn't she be worthy? I don't remember the exact words, but I remember that specific word. It was like a worthy candidate to basically calm you down, or whatever the words were. But I remember the word worthy was weird. Like, brain, where did you pull that one from? That's not in my vocabulary exactly. I'm not one to use long, complicated words. Okay, math is my strong point, not languages, not communication. And I go farther than 2 miles this time, and I turn around again to try to find this person. And I'm sensing. Now, I wanted to find someone in Stillwater specifically. I started thinking, I think they're from Stillwater. Anyway, turn around, they're already gone. And I'm sensing the direction they came from. and I'm tempted to chase him down. Not to say hi, but just to try to confirm that I'm sensing correctly where they're from. And I decide not to because I also sense that this person wouldn't want me to do that because that would be dangerous. And because of that, I don't. And I turn around again. But I keep on thinking more and more, why am I sensing where they're from? Why am I sensing where they're from? To the point, it makes me remember something. All the girls I ever liked, all the ones I ever had some weird kind of like, something felt right, lived in a very specific geographic area in Stillwater. And eventually in life I concluded that I was picking up on subconscious social cues. For example, you put a bunch of people that grew up in a city together, they will clump together as they have similar cultures, similar dialect and such. And I had always assumed that I am somehow picking up on some kind of cultural thing of people that maybe don't have many neighbors, and something about how the way they interact with people makes me attracted to them, and all of those people live in a very specific part of Sussex County, being Stillwater. Is it the fact that we have a ridge line along one side of us that makes us even behave a specific way? Because there was 7 instances where actually every single time I ever kind of thought, oh, I think something feels right about her, I would get to know her, and every time the girl would live very close to a specific area. The strongest the girl ever possessed that trait was the one girl that lived across the street from her. Or across the woods from her. And I'm joking to myself in my head at this point. Oh, here goes Mark with his mountain girl sensor again. Like, and I'm thinking, like, is she? I think she went down the road the other way. I think she's from Stillwater. I think my brain's doing it again. I think I just detected a girl from Stillwater. Even though I was hours away this time. Not just on the other side of Sussex County like I used to do, but from like an hour away. I think I sensed someone from Stillwater like my brain used to do. And yeah, where should I go with this next? Alright. I make a turn to go up the hill at the light, following the Lake Wallenwallpack there. I think it was getting dark and decided to change my route. I don't know why I made a left that time. But I look in the direction Stillwater would be. And then I see the ridgeline that runs behind it with the Appalachian Trail, as if I'm looking at it with X-ray vision. Now, this is a mental exercise I would perform sometimes on certain places because I'm obsessed with maps. So I didn't think too much of it, other than, wow, subconscious, you did a great job of predicting where this would be. It looks so real. And then I think, well, I just did that instantaneously without trying. I'm sure it's not quite right. I'm sure it's not accurate in ways. And I'm looking at it, trying to... I'm literally riding a motorcycle. I guess I shouldn't have given away that part. We'll let that one slide. Riding a motorcycle. And I'm looking to the left. Looking at where I'm seeing this. And I think, well, is it the right size? I mean, we're like this far away. Would it be smaller? Like, wait, no. No. I think that would be about the right size. Okay. But I can't seem to change it, the size of it anyway. But then I noticed something else. I'm not. No, I'm recalling the vision actor. I wasn't looking at it on the horizon. I was looking at it below the horizon. I noticed something else. That's the curvature of the Earth. Let's see, like this far, it'd only be very slight, but yeah. Thinking, oh, really good job, subconscious. You calculated the curvature of the Earth in that too. Oh, very nice, very nice. And then I feel like I'd looking at this through, like, kind of like a video game. If you've ever played a video game, it had a glitch where you go outside the boundaries where you're supposed to be and looking at the terrain from inside the terrain, and like I felt like that was actually happening, like all blackness, and I'm seeing like the rock faces on the opposite side of the ridge. Looking through the terrain, and it's like, yeah. And then I know, like, well, how is like then I start playing with it a little bit, and I think, well, if this is the ridge, I would see Crater Lake, and I would see that small swampy lake next to it, and I would see that very clear lake down below, and I felt like my vision shifted, and I saw those bodies of water being displayed in front of the back of the terrain of the rocks there and everything, and I'm like, wow, my brain's doing such a good job of doing this. And I'm riding, and starting to remember the turn. The road makes a right, and there's like a quarry to the right because it turns away from the lake. And I start literally looking backwards. I'm like, what am I doing? Just stop looking. Oh, I love what my brain's doing. Look. Okay, well, that's not. Okay, just look forward now. That is how vivid that was. And then I remember thinking, it's funny how sometimes the brain just kind of like imagines things. Kind of like how I was like picturing that crash very vividly earlier today. Yeah, it's kind of weird how the brain does that sometimes. Yeah. And that spot, Crater Lake, that I was picturing, was where I went to make the dating profile. Even when I made the dating profile, I was thinking, now there's so many weird specific thoughts going through my head about this girl. I'm not even going to get into all of them, okay? But one of the thoughts was, I want to find this person. And I was thinking about how I was running that spiritual experiment, trying to prove the combined consciousness of humanity versus God. And I remember thinking, well, if we found each other through a dating profile, nothing, yes, extremely unlikely, but that's not necessarily proving the combined consciousness of humanity. That could just be we both liked each other, and since we wanted to meet each other, subconscious social cues that our brains somehow pick up on. But what if either she could communicate to me where she lived telepathically, or I telepathically told her where to meet me? And if we could meet up that way, that would for sure prove something. Of course, at this point, I'm thinking the combined consciousness of humanity, telepathic abilities that we have and aren't fully aware of, and something at the time I was thinking would cause religions to form when you have big groups of people. Anyway, like neurons getting closer in a brain and communicating more, and that connection gets stronger when people separate. Again, that's what I thought was going on there, and it was trying to prove. So yeah, I felt like What if she was calling me to Stillwater? So when I made that dating profile, I went to that spot. I went to Crater Lake, only to find she was 2 miles off. And I ended up imagining the location of her house, because I even made the dating profile thinking, am I going to find her? Since she lives somewhere around here. And that's when I imagined. Started with, of course, someone else. But modified that person the right amount to form her. Now, whether... I guess the main point here, there's a lot of crazy theories you can come up with out of this. Whether maybe, there's the Holy Spirit. What if there's the Holy Spirit and there was the regular spirit that actually was doing what I was exactly as I'm describing and actually forming some form of telepathic connections here and there? Or was that something given to me by the Holy Spirit? There's a lot of weird theories you could scoop out of this if that was actually her. I told her that I would not text her again until I sent her a certain gift, and that gift was that 3D printed model of the Ridgeline, because the significance of hey, I imagined you when I was up there that night, only to to make the 2D printed terrain fit on top of the 3D model of the terrain, I had to stretch the Ridgeline to make it fit. And when I did that, it made 2 slight lines in that 2D print, accidentally, literally forming the boundaries of the vision that I had at Lake Wallenwallpack. Because I had to stretch only the angled part of the cliff. So while making this map to represent the significance of imagining her, I accidentally also, in that, recreated the boundaries of the vision that I had looking at the rocks through the backside of the terrain. And I told her I would not text her again until I sent her that gift. She doesn't know what it is. She has no idea. And I accidentally splurged at one point, asking her, saying, I have a question burning a hole in my brain. Did we meet at Lake Wallenwallpack? At the time, I did not realize that this would be my only way to prove the vision of the crash. It's just when it happens to be after I made the connection. It was around the time I made the video crying about the whole saving my testimony thing, right? It was a few days after that I remembered the girl, the day I met that girl, okay? So, all that was way after I started making the map. Again, total accident. Just crazy. I feel like I'm going on a tangent, but there's just so much to this situation. It's just crazy. Right. So, I took, and she didn't answer. And when she didn't answer, I realized, wait, no, this is the only way I could prove I had the vision of the crash, so good thing she didn't. And I felt, again, very, very negative feelings, almost like God ghosted me or something like that, if that makes sense. Because I texted her when I said I wouldn't until I sent her something. But I was just so curious, was that God giving me details on where to meet her, right? That's the only reason I did send that text. But she didn't answer, right? So instead, this is the important part. I decided to do something else. What if God could answer this, right? What if God could answer whether that was actually her? And I have been meaning to make a full video about this, but all the times God spoke to me through music. First time ever, starting the time I had that big crash. Again, that was sort of caused by the heartbreak of that one. Anyway, the big crash where the music went along to the crash, and I recognized it was something from God. Can't kill us. Now I know what the us was. Anyway, but again, to get my answer, was that her? Again, God spoke through music. Now you're saying, oh, that might be your subconscious picking up on lyrics you didn't notice were there. Hold that thought. I'm going to prove you all wrong if you're thinking that. Okay? Because I was concerned of that too. So, I'm at work, and I'm thinking, again, you know, I kind of asked God a few times, I feel like, almost, but I was kind of thinking, God, how do I know if that was her or not? How can I... Basically, I was asking God, how can I be confident enough to know that was her to make a whole, probably going to be a 30-minute video about the situation? And I needed some kind of confirmation from God to actually go into crazy detail on this specific event. And I noticed a instrumental song stuck in my head. Again, this has happened a few times. And it was very pronounced. It's not a song that usually pops up into my head. And I'm like, wait, this doesn't usually pop in my head. This song, I love the sound of it, but it doesn't... I would usually have trouble imagining this song, but here it... And then I think, what's the name of the song? This is so weird. I forget the name of the song. I have to really think about it. But it popped in my head instantly that time. Now, the name of the song... the artist was called Day One, okay? And the name of the song was called Game Changer. There we go. When I noticed this, Day One, Game Changer, the title, as has happened in times of the past, gave me the answer I was looking for. Day One being the first time I met her, and the song title, Game Changer. Am I mixing that up? I might be mixing up the name of our artist and anyway, whichever one's which. Point is, Day One, the first day I met her, and Game Changer, that's when the game changed, right? And I was like, mind blown, God just answered that. But then, as the next few days rolled by, and I kept on thinking about that was crazy. But I started to notice something. Wait, what if my subconscious knew the name of the song and the name of the artist? And it made that connection and gave me that answer, and that wasn't God. That was just me, again, making something up on accident. I'm thinking, again, I'm not even asking God to do this because I don't think God can, honestly. That's so foolish of me. I'm thinking, God, how do I know that this isn't my subconscious? Anyway, again, instrumental song, right? And I decided to listen to it because it is a very good song. And I noticed something. About a minute into the song or so, there's whispers, and they're not meant to be audible. They're really not. They're just meant to be whispers. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. What was that? Rewind the song. And I spent 10 minutes playing with the bass, playing with the treble, volume, like all, just trying to interpret what are the whispers saying. And some parts were more clear than others. And after all this trying to figure out what this whisper was saying, I finally determined what it was saying. And it said, oh shoot, what did it say? Sorry, I'm going to pause the video real quick because I wrote it down somewhere. I wrote it down in the comment section of that song. Alright, pulled up the video, saw the lyrics that I wrote down. Okay, back to this song. Another crazy thing I remembered was I kept on forgetting the name of the artist, and I still am. I kept on thinking, isn't Ready somewhere in the name of the artist? Like, Game Ready, or I kept on thinking Ready was in the name, and I kept on thinking, oh, no, duh, this was the name of the artist. But anyway, but I kept on making that mistake. So, why am I forgetting it again? Oh, I hate my brain. Sometimes. Wait, okay, right. It said, this is the past. Again, I was questioning, is this the past or not? Is this me making up memories? I don't know. This is the past. And there's a pause. When the game changes. Yep, that's the past. When the game changes. When this whole crazy situation started happening. Are you ready? It says. So this is the past. When the game changes. Are you ready? And I noticed something. Again, isn't that crazy? The Ready was in there. I kept on thinking Ready was in the name of the artist or something, and it wasn't. But it was in these songs that I could not identify. I struggled to identify what these lyrics were saying. I didn't know they were there. And it gave me all the answers I needed right there. I wasn't making up memories. That was her. Are you ready? And I noticed something. Me asking that question, was that her? I noticed I wasn't ready for the answer. I wasn't. I have to document all of this. Because I wanted proof of my testimony, I need to document like all this stuff before I'm even ready for an answer, whether that was even her or not. So, now that I have found a way to move on, a way to let go, again, the way it's been worded both ways, songs, all kinds of situations around me, random things everywhere. Now that I am ready to move on and let go, and I have found a way, God provided a way, like I kind of asked for. I didn't even, you know what's so foolish of me? I keep on thinking, oh, but how could God possibly do that? How could God provide a house better than that location unless it was like around there? Yeah, it's not possible. I would keep on thinking things like that, and then God does it. So foolish of me. All-powerful God. Again, Abraham reasoned that God could raise his son from the dead, and that's why he was still willing to kill him. Abraham could reason that his son could be brought back to life. How foolish am I to reason God can't provide a house in a very, very specific location? You know how foolish of me that is compared to Abraham, you know? yeah. So, and the other things I'm going to add, people would say, oh, well, you recognize what she looked like, therefore, and you recognize it was her, so you feel confident making this video. No, I don't remember what she looked like. In fact, I remembered brown hair. During the day, I asked her, I thought you had brown hair. And there's another thing I said. It was the first or second sentence I said during that date when we met. I thought you drove a white car. And then, of course, the third time I said something, I gave her an I thought, was when we were at her house. And I said, I thought you lived here, pointing to a map showing just 300 feet north of that exact spot. Because that's where I was imagining her. But again, that being a few hundred feet off, I'll still consider that a direct hit, because that is still the closest house on that side of the street at that point where I chose. And her having her house there was actually better than I imagined. Anyway, so excuse God being 300 feet off, or God, whatever. I guess that's me skewing what God's trying to say. Same way Scripture is God inspired, not God written. God will give us concepts and we'll mess it up, right? Same thing there. Anyway, where do I go with this next? Yeah. With all that said, I think I'm ready for an answer, whether that was her or not. And by the way, when I said those three things, I thought white car, I thought brown hair, I thought you lived here. None of those were me thinking, oh, that's what I remembered of that girl I met that day. No, I said those things for other reasons, which makes it even more unlikely. The only things I mentioned on accident, like me saying I thought you had brown hair, I meant the words meant to come out as, again, I don't usually speak compliments, like it's unlike me, right? Let's be honest. I just wanted to throw one compliment at her, right? And I wanted to say, like, I really like your orange hair, like it, like mind blowing, like. And instead it came out as I thought you had brown hair instead of a compliment. Like, oh man, but isn't that crazy? That was an accident that I said that. Again, in the white car thing, every time I drove past that spot, Lake Walton Wallpack, I looked for a white car, and I couldn't. I am good with cars, right? I'm good with cars. Not that I'll tell you what drove past me like 10 seconds ago, but if I need to identify someone, I identify them by their car, right? I can't tell you all the cars that were in a parking lot, but if I need to connect a person to a car, I look at the model of the car and I don't forget it. And this was really weird, and I recognized this right away after I met her. I didn't remember the car. I'm like, I always connect the person to the model car they're driving. This is only minutes ago. Why do I not remember what type of car it was? I just know that it was white. And it was bigger than I remembered. And it was fairly new to the point, well, yeah, I remembered it was like fairly new, okay? Just, yeah. So, yeah, my brain's tangenting into some other stuff. And then finally the "I thought you lived." Now the funny thing, okay, I am claiming this to be a specific person when I remember a different hair color, and it wasn't even the color car they were driving. But it doesn't rule them out, because they used to drive a white car, which means they would have had to have gotten their current car is black. They would have had to have gotten a new car within, what, 3 months, 2 months of when we met. And white is the most common car color. Again, judging by those specific things that I remember are not enough for me to have the confidence to assume this is the person, because it's literally contradicting what I remember, okay? But I happened to say those things during that date on accident. And others, look, there are a lot of other little things that I think I remember. Look, those few things are the things that I know I didn't make up. At this point, I'm going to go into things that I'm concerned I'm making up. I've been concerned I'm making up because, yeah, what if this is my brain desperately trying to confirm it's her and making up little memories about the situation? I'll go into all of it now. Thought I remembered a cross on her necklace, and that was the reason one of the things that I thought is, well, she's religious, so it wouldn't work anyway, so I should try to be friends with her, because it won't work, but I feel like she'd be okay with that, which would make me stay, and that'd be a problem. So that's why I think I remember seeing a cross. How else did I remember her being religious? I remember something bulky by her right hand, and I think I remember a little bit of purple on it. I think I'm remembering the dog leash that she was carrying the same day as the date. Again, might have been a water bottle, might have been something else, might be a fully made up memory there. And I think I remember a tattoo somewhere. And I later did realize that she does have a few, tattoos, which is its own. That's a weird. There's something weird about that. I feel like I won't go into what's so weird. Maybe I just should. I've always had this thing where it's like, I don't like tattoos. I just don't. But I've always kind of felt like, if somebody did it right, I think I would like it. Like if someone did it right. But I've never seen someone do it right, so maybe I just don't like tattoos, right? And again, that was even one of the reasons I was thinking when I saw this girl, like, oh, yeah, I don't like people with tattoos anyway, like, so whatever, like, again, that'll keep me away from that, but I think I liked it, but I don't like, but I think, did I like, that kind of went through my head, and again, once I figured out through her, well, yeah, basically she has a YouTube channel, and I happen to notice a tattoo here and there. It's like for the first time, for the first time ever, I think I liked it, which is unlike me. That's weird. So there's that. Now maybe that's pushing it. But again, look, that might be me making up a memory that the girl had a tattoo that day. Okay, that's my point there. Um, hey, now we have both matching scars, though. Oh, man. Look, man, I don't want her. I don't even care. I want my testimony with all of its proof to be completed. And I want to live where I wanted to live the whole time, okay? That's what I want now. I want to just worship God, like, and thank Him for just answering this prayer 7-10 years in the making, whatever it was. Like I was warned when there was that voice in my head when I prayed it. Anyway. I think I'm done rambling. This is a long one. Again, just one little thing to finish this off. The combined consciousness of humanity would not be able to do a few things. It would not be able to predict the future with perfect accuracy, the way it did in Visions. It wouldn't be able to do anything with time travel, per se. And it wouldn't be able to give a very specific mark. I used my own name. Mark on their knee. Would it? To match mine, because the chaos that happens in an accident, only God could make that happen. I hope that all this is enough to prove that this is God, not some other naturally occurring force. That's it.